Most closers think that they lose deals because they don't know how to handle objections. But the truth is, you're not closing deals because you haven't built a gap, not just in terms of what the prospect wants and where they are, but in terms of who they are. Welcome to this video. My name is Orlando Santucci. 5 years ago, I was working at McDonald's for $19 an hour, and over the last 5 years, I've closed $6 million in high-ticket info products. And in this video today, I'm going to be walking you through step by step how you can build a gap for the prospect in their identity, in terms of how they see themselves, how they see their future self, and how you can help them bridge that gap, help them make a long-lasting change, and also help you get more commissions. Let's dive into the whiteboard and I'll show you step by step how to do it. So one of the first things that we want to do is establish where is the prospect right now. No, that's not a penis, that's just a bad drawing. Let me redo that. So we want to establish what is their 1.0 version. Okay, who is the prospect today and who is it that they want to become? Okay, so this is going to be their 2.0 version. And oftentimes you'll see on my sales calls, I actually do this live with prospects. So in the past, I was selling a business coaching offer for fitness coaches. So sometimes it would be more of a biz op offer where they were transitioning from a 9 to 5 to a business owner. Okay, now one thing that you can use at the start of your call, as soon as you find out what someone does for work, is you can simply say something like this. Awesome, and we love working with guys who work as an employee and are transitioning into a business owner, because when they go through that transition, it's not just in terms of what they do for work, but also who they become. And making quick decisions is what actually gets you to change. So kudos to you for actually being open to transitioning in that sense. Now, what have I just done? I've just set the frame that they're not who they want to be right now, and that there's going to take a difference in the way that they make decisions. So that later, if they give me a think about it, of course you want to think about it because you're an employee. Now, we don't say that because then later when they give you a think about it objection at the end of the call, you can reframe it like this. Yeah, that's completely normal because at the moment you make decisions based off who you are today and not who you want to be. And then you can even give an example like this. You can say, it's just like an unhealthy person changing to become a healthy person. To become a healthy person, they have to make decisions like a healthy person before they are that person. But it's hard because they're not that person yet. So what's the decision that you feel like you need to make to actually become that 2.0 version of yourself? More on that later. Coming back to the whiteboard. When you're building the gap of where the prospect is and where they want to be, it's super, super important that you get them to visualize the identity change. So let me walk you through an example of this. You could say, okay, sweet. So where you're at right now, you work a 9 to 5, you're making about 5K a month, and you want to be making 10K a month as an online coach full time. Now, what is it about being this person that's different to who you are today? Now, when you ask that question, they're naturally going to give you external factors that will be different. They're going to make more money, they'll have more financial, time, location freedom, all of the above, which I've gone into in my previous video. If you haven't seen my full script breakdown, I'll link it in the comments below. That'll go into this in more detail. But to take the gap to an identity standpoint, you're going to focus on who they are and who they're going to be. So you can ask something like, being that 2.0 version, in what way are they different to who you are today? And they might say things like, well, they make decisions fast. They're decisive. They don't procrastinate. They take action. And so when you do that, you're setting this frame that the 2.0 version, the business owner version, makes decisions differently. So that's one example that you can use when you're building an emotional gap. Now, when you're in this stage as well, the second thing that I want to touch on is talking about sacrifice. So when you're building that gap, you can use a quick story about how every hero needs to make a sacrifice. You look at Batman, he needs to sacrifice sleep to become the hero at night when no one else is on the streets. When there's less police, there's more danger, there's more crime, he needs to sacrifice his night and his sleep to go to work and be the hero that Gotham needs. And this is for any hero's journey. There's always sacrifice involved. So you can even ask the prospect, what is it that this person today, who you are today, what is it that they need to sacrifice to become this person? And you'd be surprised at what kind of deep answers you get there. Again, we're building emotion in this stage. Now let's move forward. Let's say we've already done the future pace, and let's say we've done the pitch, and now we're in objection handling, okay? This is the fun part of the call. We're on objections. They're saying they want to think about it. You go through the normal process, no stress. Before you go and think about it, do you genuinely feel like what we went through can get you to where you want to be? Yes, I do. Why do you feel like it can? Because of X, Y, Z. Sweet. If you follow me for a while, you probably already know that process. If you don't, just look at my previous videos. Now, let's say we're in objections and the prospect says something like, it's a lot of money. Yeah, I can understand that it's a lot of money for where you're at right now, because the current person that you are, the one that's making 5K a month, that works for a boss, that is a lot of money. And that's probably part of the reason you're on the call, so that you can make more money. Now, to become the person that makes more money, what does that person do differently to who you are today? Well, they invest in themselves. Yeah. And even though it's scary, even though it's uncomfortable, they make decisions based off what they know they need to do, even when they don't feel like it. So you being the 2.0 version of yourself, Mr. Prospect, the business owner, the one that's got the financial freedom, the time freedom, the one that can look after his family, what decision does he make today, right now, so that he can actually be the man for his family? Well, he would do it. Okay, so am I speaking to the current version of you, or am I speaking to the version that wants to become the 2.0? Yeah, the 2.0. Okay, so what do you feel like you need to do? Yeah, let's do it. So that's a third example of how you can use identity to sell. Another one you can use, this is gonna be number 4, is you can use a congruency frame. So again, this comes back to identity. Let's say you're selling to a fitness coach, okay, to grow their business. They keep giving you objections. You can actually break the fourth wall here and flip it on them. Just quick time out for a second, so you do a little pattern interrupt. When you're selling fitness programs and a prospect tells you they want to think about it, what do? Oh, I try and handle the objection. But why do you try and handle the objection? Why don't you just let them go and think about it? Well, because that doesn't help them. They've been thinking about it before the call. Exactly. Different here. And then they start to see it from that perspective, and they can realize that they're doing exactly what their prospects do to them. It's where you flip it back on them. So can I ask, if you give a think about it objection when you're looking at buying a program that you know will help you, how do you feel like you can hold prospects accountable when they give you a think about it objection? Because we get the objections that we give. If you never make time for your health and fitness, and someone tells you that they're too busy to do your program, how can you hold them accountable if you don't do it in your own life? If you were an overweight fitness coach, how would you be able to help people get in shape themselves? You wouldn't, because it's a lack of congruency. So what's the congruent decision that you feel like you need to make so you can actually hold your prospects accountable when they chat to you about investing into their health and fitness? Yeah, do it. Well, why though? Why would he do it? Well, because he takes action. Okay, so what do you feel like you need to do? Boom, that's the fourth way. And the last way is a bit outside of the sales call. It's who are you, okay? Who are you outside of the call? Are you the guy that takes action? Are you the guy that makes time for what's important to him? Are you the guy that when he says he's gonna do something, he does it? Because if you don't, and you have that lack of congruency, again, just like in the previous example, how can you hold prospects accountable in their own life to make a tough decision if you don't do it yourself? Okay, so that's the last one. So today was a bit of a quicker video. I wanted to touch on something very specific, which is that identity framework. I've used this in multiple sales calls myself, again, to close $6 million in high ticket sales. Anton, one of my other students, has used to make $15,000 a month in pure commissions as a sales rep. It's also what my other student, Luke, used to make $19,000 last month. Now, if you're already in sales, but you're not quite hitting those consistent 10 or even 15K months, and you want to learn this identity framework on a deeper level, this is something we cover inside of my private community, Closers Cult. So this is where I help closers break past those 10K months in consistent commissions. And if you want to find out more about that, you can just use the link below to book a call, and we can have a chat and see if it makes sense. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Anything else you need, just leave a comment below and I can make a future video on it. Cheers.